Good evening. Once again here at the ManCave after another Vikings victory, 23-13 over the Titans on Sunday. Very good win for the Vikings to move them to 8-2, stay in pace with the Detroit Lions in the NFC North. A lot of good things to take away from the game on Sunday. I'll start out with a couple of them. The passing game was great. Titans game going into it, I myself was a little concerned because they have been pretty good against the pass. I figured we'd run the ball all day successfully, and the opposite happened. We struggled with the run, 33 rushes for 88 yards at a 2.5 yard clip. I know Aaron Jones got a little dinged up again, but I mean that's been happening you're that age and you take on that workload. It's bound to happen. But Cam Akers came through.
Tell us about it, brother.
Yeah, they got through. They had some timely rushes, and the passing game was great. Darnold played a great game, and defense, as per usual, was stellar and came through when they needed to. So a good win on the road. I realize that the Titans don't have the greatest record in the team, but we swept the AFC South. Continue to be a major factor in the NFC uh, uh, scheme of things, which is still wide open. I mean, you got a couple of teams at the top, along with Detroit. You got the Packers. Some of the other teams are starting to get a little better. Eagles are playing a little better, so it should be interesting this tail end of the season. So, Steve, what'd you take away from Sunday's game?
Yeah, I thought so we were heading back down. I was heading back doing some driving on Sunday. So I listened to the great Paul Allen and crew call it. Yeah, I think Sam Darnold got a little bit back to being able to manage the game. The passing game was better. Some of his escapes that he had, some of his things, like if Patrick Mahomes had done that, everybody, Chris Collinsworth would have fallen over and needed a cigarette. So I think Sam Darnold did pretty well. I think that our run game was pedestrian, but we put up 82 yards, and we want to be north of 3 yards a carry because that's the most effective. But I think that it kept them honest long enough that so we could get games. And Darnold ran well. 8 rushes, 18 yards. Picked up a couple first downs with his legs. I think that was important.
Rushing touchdown.
Rushing touchdown. Yep. We got Cam Akers, a nice little receiving touchdown. So much better in the red zone. So I was encouraged about that. The Josh Oliver injury makes me a little bit nervous, but I think we'll see more TJ Hawkinson coming across the middle. I'm a little worried about what Josh Oliver's absence could mean to our run game with the struggles that we've had recently. But I think that our passing game is stepping up, and KOC is finding crazy ways to get Jefferson open. Between Jefferson just being all planet when it comes to wide receiver and KOC's ability to scheme him open. At one point he even started in the backfield and started his route from the backfield and came up to try to force a linebacker or a safety to take him on. So I was encouraged. A W is a W, and our defense is holding teams to 17 points or less. That's one of the tops in the NFL. So I'll take it. All right, B Naughty, what do you got?
Well, I agree with a lot of those points. My big takeaway was BBB, bounce back, big bounce back game from Sammy D. Darnold Schwarzenegger. We all needed to see that. KOC said earlier during the week when they were asking, "Are you going to bench this guy?" I mean, because he's seeing ghosts again, obviously. But he said, "Hey, you talk to Chicago about that." Because they were talking about the teabag thing and the Tulip Williams thing. I mean, it wasn't a monster game, but it was a very solid game. We can always count on Slinging Sammy, old McDarnold. We can count on 2-3 bad throws a game. We can count on 1 to 2 turnover possibilities a game. Just if we can steer clear of that and it doesn't affect us, we're going to be great. Now, flipping it over to the defensive side, I love my B-Flow. I say give this guy a blank check. I've said it like several times. His family's comfortable in Minneapolis. Come on, Ziggy. Come on, Mark. Give him a blank check. Let him stay. that read option, that triple option thing that they were doing to us, because we are the number one rushing defense in the league. I mean, I'm saying we, I mean, the Minnesota Vikings are the number one rushing defense in the league. They were starting to do that RG3 shit to us. And it was working. And then they'd even mix in running back and the wide receivers into it. And it kind of stopped after halftime, like towards the end of the third quarter. There was those big plays, that 98-yard bomb. But Will Levis last year, I mean, he got his money throwing like 5-6 Hail Marys a game. And I'm just so thankful for Brian Flores. I mean, 8-2. Are you kidding me? I mean, he's responsible for at least 6 of those. And that's all I got to say about that. Back to you, Michael.
Yeah. Great win. And we're going to touch on we're going to mix it up a little bit this week. You know, we do this every week and talk about the Vikings victory and go over a lot of the games, but we'll do our final synopsis here as far as my takeaways, your bad MF for the game. Hopefully Brian has thought of something he brings specifically to the table, or he can wing it. Either way, I'm sure whatever he says will.
We're not winging it. We're seeing what happens.
Whatever he says is bound to be entertaining. But you know, we talked about Darnold. For me, another takeaway is the Hall of Famer, who fortunately I was able to meet last week, the Monday before the game. Harry the Hitman came through once again, had a great game. You know, got the interception there towards the end that sealed the game and just cemented his legacy. I mean, think about all the Vikings throughout the years, especially the ones in the 70s and whatnot, some in the 90s when you had, you know, Moss and Carter, et cetera. But I mean, Harrison Smith, since he has gotten here, has been a breath of fresh air, has played at a high level, continues to play at a high level. I will say this as a Vikings fan. Should he ever play for another team, I'm going to be pissed.
Right.
That guy needs to retire as a Viking. And if
less
anybody,
money every year,
and if anybody doubts his Hall of Fame credentials, put his numbers up to Troy Polamalu and his dandruff shampoo, you know, his Head and Shoulders shampoo. Harry Clear.
I like little Troy, dude.
Yeah, little Troy's good. And don't get me wrong, Polamalu is a great player, but Harry Smith better end up in the Hall of Fame. So Harry's play was great. Van Ginkel and Jones, they both had 3 tackles for loss and 2 sacks, man. And I mean, the impact that they've been having this year is just insane. Cashman had a great game as well. So defense cleared. And I think that might have been just 2 takeaways, but we had already covered Darnold. So, and his recovery from a rough outing the prior time. So Steve, who is your bad MF of the game?
Yeah, my bad MF, easy for me to say. Sorry to stick on the defensive side, but like I normally do, but our defense is really what's powering us. And Van Ginkel for me is a bad MFer. I mean, 2 sacks. You know, he had 3 total tackles for loss, 8 total tackles. You know, he's my bad MFer of the game. This guy shows up week in and week out, quietly one of the best outside linebackers in the league. I think he
almost had a pick too, didn't he? He had a pass defense. Yeah.
Blake. I mean, it's close. Blake Cashman run defeated when Blake Cashman. I mean, this is the effect that having him back in. So I mean, you could almost give him a like a mid-season bad MF type of thing if you wanted to. But for this game, it was Van Ginkel. You know, his impact is definitely felt. I think shout out to Kwesi. You know, Kwesi cooked. They brought in Cashman, Grenard, and Van Ginkel, and that's made the entire difference to our defense, bringing those guys in. I mean, you know, it says something when a talent like Dallas Turner can't get time.
Yeah.
Because the people in front of him are just that good. Dallas Turner doesn't suck. He's young. He's got stuff to learn. But on other teams, Dallas Turner would be getting a majority of the snaps. These 3 guys that Kwesi brought in are making all the difference in running Beeflo's defense. For this game, Van Ginkel's a bad MFer. Be naughty. What do you got, buddy?
Well, I'm going to counter you on this. I'm not going to give that to Kwesi. I ain't giving that to Kwesi. Mike Sherrill's is buddies with Flo's family here. He was the one that pitched Cashman on being with the Vikings. They looked at film over and over again, and Flo jumped out of his seat when he saw Grenard. Woo! And where did the gank come from? Flo drafted him. Come on, let's go easy on the
crazy love.
GM of the year. Let's
Hey,
calm down.
He got him to sign the
Calm
check.
down.
Right? He got the book.
Right.
Sounds like somebody's been doing their homework.
Hey, well, he got the
calm
rope
down on this, Queasy.
Right.
It's kind of weird that we don't hear from him like we heard from him the last couple of years. He's just kind of like locked in his posh office bathroom. You know,
He's in Denny Green's bunker.
Yeah, he's somewhere. I mean, those 3 acquisitions, I give them all to B-Flow. But moving on, I'm thinking about the Bears. This game is going to be the difference between 11-6 and 12-5. If we lose this game, there's some tough games coming up. You got to chalk up Detroit as a loss in Detroit, right?
No, we're not chalking up anything.
Well, Kyler's going to give them kind of something, too. The Bears, I mean, there's 2 things. I've been a Vikings fan. I was born in 1974, September 18th. Like, about
date sounds
4
familiar.
hours before this guy, this young man. 2 things have really scared me during my Vikings thing is when they wear white. Sure, we've won when we wore white, but it's usually a bad omen. Oh my gosh. It's just, woo. The second thing is playing at Soldier Field. Sure, there's some good moments. Sure, there's the Adrian Peterson 163 yards and 3 touchdowns. Chester Taylor, I think, ran over him once too. But they're very few and far between. I think that this game, hopefully they make the adjustments. Hopefully that they don't have the wrong cleats on, even though they play there every year. And they have to scramble just like every year. Hopefully that we run the ball a little bit better, as Michael said earlier. They're really good against the pass. I mean, I think they're like, I looked at my fantasy squad. I think they're like second against the pass, but it's a run funnel defense. They're daring you to run. Hopefully the run game picks up. On the defensive side, hopefully B-Flow keeps him inside the tackle. When I say him, I say Tulip Williams. Keep him in there. All his damage seems to be when he breaks out. And I think that B-Flow might have something for him. And over to you, Michael.
Yeah, it brings us into our next topic, the Bears. And I'll be honest, this game scares the shit out of me. And
right?
And as a Vikings fan for a long time, you know, I can remember, I would say about 1983, 1984. I think it was 84 was Les Steckel's shit show.
That's 83.
Yeah, 83, 84, nonetheless, you know, all those years and, you know, all the stuff that's happened to us, you know, clouds the memory a little bit. But anyways, the Les Steckel disaster is when I really start to, my Vikings memories of watching games, et cetera, dates back to. And I can tell you in the last 15 years, the Vikings have won the division 4 times. They have a possibility to do so this year. 2009 with the old gunslinger, Brett Favre. Monday Night Football, I believe. It might have been Sunday night. Lose to Jay Cutler and the Bears in Soldier Field. It was a year we won the division, went to the NFC Championship game. 2015 with Teddy Bridgewater at the helm. We won the division at 11-5. Lost at Soldier Field. 2017, Minneapolis Miracle team. Lost at Soldier Field. And our team 2 years ago that won 13-4 with Kirko cooking with the greatest comeback in NFL history, Justin Jefferson's ridiculous catch of the century. Same year, 13-4, lost at Chicago. So history has not treated the Vikings well, even in the seasons where they're playing at a high level, winning the division. We always go to Chicago and lose. And I don't know what the spread is. I don't even want to look at it because right now, as a Vikings fanatic and historian, this is the type of game we lose every freaking time. And so we should win on paper, but they don't play the game on paper. They play it on that crappy ass field in Chicago.
Ah,
I can't remember if it's grass or turf. Either way, I believe it's grass because we slip all over the damn place. And
it's great.
the Bears have lost 4 straight. They started out 4-2. The NFC North, everybody was right up at the top of the heap. But if you look at the teams they're losing to, shit, they should have beat the Packers last week. That was a fluke. They played competitively against the other teams. Now, 2 weeks ago at home against, I believe it was at home against New England, they laid a freaking egg. But the Bears and their fans will be amped up for the Vikings coming there. And I will say this, it's one of the few stadiums, probably even more so than Green Bay. We do not invade that stadium horribly well. I've been there. That fan
Hey,
base is there. I mean, to where I would say there's a bigger percentage of Vikings fans at Lambeau than there is at Soldier Field. So this game, it's just got the writings of a letdown. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I was looking at the history today and I'm like, oh man, I am going to be throwing stuff and swearing like a drunken sailor on Sunday. Steve?
Well, now I don't know if I should root for them to win or lose. I mean, if they lose, do we win the division? What I mean, are we going to the title game? What the hell? For me, it's going to come down to the defenses. It's going to come down to whose defense performs the best. We start letting Caleb get a little confidence, let him get rolling a little bit. He'll open it up and go crazy on us because he's got some natural ability. He's got some talent, and there's a reason why he's drafted where he was. And he's shown flashes of really good play this year. So the defenses are really going to make the difference here. Now, if we're getting home, if we're holding him in the box, if we're making Caleb try to beat Beeflo's defense, keeping him in the pocket, then I think we win. We don't get pressure on him. This is going to be like any other team our 2 losses this year. When we don't get pressure, we don't get home. Our secondary is not good enough to hold up for 3 seconds, for 3.5 seconds. We get gashed. So I think it's going to be the question of whose defense shows up. They're going to try and take away Justin Jefferson, and we got to look for Aaron Jones and Cam Akers to just be bullies. They're going to have to they're going to have to really put a pounding on these guys, which makes that injury with Josh Oliver even the more important. Because if he can't go, that's a big thing. That's a big dude. He's damn near as big as a left tackle. And you see him when he's helping out block some of these guys, he's knocking defensive ends and defensive tackles on their butts. So it's going to be a difference in the defenses for me. Sam Darnold's going to be Sam Darnold. He's consistent in this is who he is. He can hit throws. He's going to pork some up. He's going to hit some. That's going to be consistent there. The defenses are going to be what makes the difference. I'm hoping that, we stay undefeated with Blake Cashman in the middle. I don't know if that means what that means for throughout the rest of the season, if we win the title or not, but for the division. But, I whatever defense shows up the best is who's going to come away with it, because the offenses, they're both of them can be question marks at times. So defense is going to win this game. Be naughty.
I already told you what I thought about this game. Give it to the man.
I thought you were the man.
No, I am, but not in this.
Yeah.
No.
All right. So either way, tune in on Sunday at noon, and we might do our post-game recap next week live and or directly after the game. I know. Raising your hand.
Call on me. I thought we were going to talk about that NFC North division.
Oh yeah, we're still going. I'm just talking about the Sunday game. Getting ahead of yourself, Mister Naughton. Anyways,
why do you think I threw it to you? I thought you were in charge here, right?
Yeah, okay.
You got the itinerary over there, or what?
Are we ManCave Sports, or are we the fucking Three Stooges? All right, I'll take it from here. Anyways, NFC North. We talked a little bit about this. Obviously, we've talked about the Vikings and the Bears. Vikings sitting at 8-2. The Bears at 4-6. Losers of their last 4. At the top of the standings are the Detroit Lions, who continue to look good. Squashed, I believe, Jacksonville last week in a laugher. And Lions, I mean, right now they look to be the top team in the NFC, if not the NFL, especially with Kansas City losing the other day. But things can change in a hurry in the NFL. We'll see what happens this upcoming week, and the Vikings got to make up ground. The Vikings just got to keep pace, keep winning the divisional games, and that last game of the season will be meaningful. But let's talk about the Packers. We've talked about the Lions. Obviously, we talk about the Vikings every week. Talked about the Bears and their recent struggles, but the legitimate threat that they pose on Sunday to a Vikings team / franchise that has had trouble with them historically. Let's talk about the Packers, because I've watched enough of them this year that it seems like if Jordan Love can stay upright and is healthy, they're a dangerous team. They're sitting at 7-3. But I will say this, much like Aaron Jones with the Vikings, Jordan Love seems to get his ass kicked on a weekly basis and get dinged up. I don't know if he's going to hold up through the season. And I think they go as far as he can take them. But I'm curious to see what you guys think, Steve.
Yeah, I just don't. Jordan Love's got talent, and I think he's going to do well for the Packers, throughout his career. He's going to be annoying to us. The Packers don't have the rest of I don't think they have the rest of everything put together around him just yet. I'm looking at their schedules. I don't think they beat the Niners. Dolphins, now that they get Tua back, that's going to be a toss up for them. Lions, no chance. Seahawks, that's iffy. They may or may not. Saints. I don't see a game on the rest of the Dolphins schedules that they don't have a legit possibility of losing. You know what I mean? So I don't, because of it all rides on the health of Jordan Love. I mean, they've done great things with Malik Willis, being able to get him to come in and help, save their season really because of Jordan Love's injuries. But Jordan Love hasn't been healthy the entire year.
No.
They're putting him together with duct tape and glue and Band-Aids to keep him on the field and give him a chance. So, when I look at it, I think for sure they lose to the Niners. The Lions, I think for sure they're going to lose. I think we beat them here at home. I think they're going to lose at least the Bears. I think they lose. They're going to split with the Bears. So I'm looking at 3 or 4 losses that I think for sure that they got. So I think that they could be challenging for a wild card spot, and it's very possible that we could get 3 teams in the playoffs. But Jordan Love, if they don't keep him duct taped together, they don't have a chance. So without him, they don't make it.
Yeah, and the good thing for the Vikings is they already won the first game of that matchup, and the next game's here. So yeah. I think and if you guys remember previously back, I'd say before Randy Moss arrived in Minnesota back in '98. Do you remember the disproportionate amount, or not disproportionate, but the percentage of Packer fans that would be in the Metrodome? And it was probably 60-40 in favor of Vikings. Ever since US Bank Stadium has been there, they do not take that stadium over like they used to. So it's a tough environment.
They can only get tickets up in the third.
Yeah,
they don't get down to the lower levels.
Yeah, so I mean, it's that impact isn't the same. But yeah, I mean, the Packers, I think they still have a chance to make the playoffs if Jordan Love stays upright. But long term, or a big threat to do any damage in there, I don't know. But I mean, it's as a fan of the Vikings and even the NFC North, it's good to see that they probably have stood out, minus the Bears' recent losing streak, as easily the best division in football.
Yeah.
Brian, your thoughts on the NFC North?
Well, you started this out. Well, let's talk about the Packers. Fuck the Packers. Really. I mean, I've been raised like pit bulls are really nice dogs if they're raised right. But if they're raised in Compton or Frogtown and they're raised wrong, they're not so good. I was raised to hate them. I don't even eat at Subway because of the fucking colors. I mean, that's an honest thing. I even changed trash companies so I didn't have the green.
You won't go with Waste Management, huh?
Oh no, I'm serious about it. But since you bring it up,
you drink Sprite or you drink Sprite?
I don't drink nothing like that. It's too close.
Okay.
But they are well coached. There's a good plan. Goody gets a lot of hell, but he sticks with his shit, and it works. They're well coached. But as my esteemed colleague, Mr. Steve, has said, that they got a treacherous schedule coming up, but I'm not going to count them out of not making the playoffs. We just have to beat them. Jordan Love, all those receivers, those no-name receivers, it's Tucker Kraft. Offensive line is good. Defensive line is good. It's just I can never count them out, but I definitely see them finishing up a third in the division.
Yeah.
Now back to you, boss.
All right. Any opinion on the Lions? I think we know your feelings about the Packers after the last couple of shows. So what do you think about the Lions this far, just out of curiosity? I mean,
Well, you know what? What did we beat Jacksonville with Mac Jones 12-7? What did they put on them? A 50 spot?
Yeah. Well, that was also a home game versus a road game as well. So
yeah,
but still, it's a pacing versus a tough fought victory. I get it. But remember this: the Lions have only had a couple of competitive games this year, and one of them was us. And basically, ran out on the Vikings. They took them down the field and didn't give them a chance. So
yeah,
I might start on fire by saying this. I mean, just like when I walk into a Catholic church after my upbringing, just the Lions could win it all. I mean, that seems to be the class of the NFC. We just got to keep up. We got to keep up. That's all I got.
Any given Sunday, like they say. So it should be interesting. We're getting down to the home stretch of the season, the last 7 games, playoffs. I can't remember the latest probability percentage-wise for the Vikings to make the playoffs, but I mean, I think they're sitting in a good spot.
Yeah.
And we're finishing up a 3-game road trip. It'll be nice to see them come home. I know there's a Monday night game coming up. I forget if that's against the Bears here in a few weeks, but I got to get out to US Bank Stadium. I have not been there yet. So this season, but gentlemen, it's been a privilege. We'll look forward to watching the Vikings on Sunday and recapping it soon afterwards, whether it's that Sunday. Brian, I know you might be tied up and not able to make that, so we might do something.
I think it's early. So
okay, yeah, I'll be in touch. We might try to shake this up a little bit, and for those watching, we're trying to shake up some of the coverage, talk a little bit more about NFL as a whole, and cover some things, and make sure we're giving you the best coverage that we're capable of doing. So appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Mr. Naughton, have a good night. Steve, I know it's a short drive, but drive safely. And we will see you guys again later. Appreciate it.